Hey loved ones, I'm Lucy, and this is Pussy Powered. In today's video, I'm going to share with you 3 ways to use the law of attraction to improve your sex life. There are a lot of different teachings and applications and thoughts about the law of attraction, but in my personal take on it, here are a few key concepts that summarize the law of attraction for me. We attract more of what we are and what we unconsciously deep down believe is true. Not what we think we should believe or what we consciously really wish were true, but we deep down don't believe is true. The things that come into our life experience are a vibrational match to us. Where focus goes, energy flows. And this is why what we focus on expands. For example, if you're struggling with low libido and you keep focusing on the problem of I have low libido, what's wrong with me? That problem becomes bigger and eventually all-consuming as you continue to feed the energy of fear and scarcity with your focused energy. Like the law of gravity, the law of attraction is in effect whether you are consciously using it or not. And when it comes to consciously creating more pleasure, a deeper sense of well-being in your body, a deeper connection, excitement, fulfillment, and satisfaction in your sex life, a loving relationship based on trust and respect. Whatever you want to create in your life, whatever you want to experience in your life and in your body, we are either consciously creating the now and consciously creating the future, or unconsciously recreating the past. So with this in mind, how can you use the already in effect, in action power of the law of attraction to improve your sex life, and not only that, your pleasure? Number 1, clarify your desires. Sometimes when it comes to the smorgasbord, did I say that right? The smorgasbord of sex and pleasure, it can be a little difficult to pinpoint what you actually like, what you're into, and what really gets you aroused. And ultimately, what provides you with the experience that you're really craving when you're having sex or exploring your own body. If you're already into learning about the law of attraction and how to use that power consciously in your life, something that you've probably heard quite a lot about is the contrast. The contrast in a nutshell is what you don't want. So by experiencing what you don't want, you can get more clear on what you do want. Remember that it's not always the exact opposite of this thing that you're experiencing that you don't want. So for example, if you feel like sex is transactional for you, or you're doing it when it's not a full yes, or there's resentment there, or even disgust or guilt or shame after you do it, that's contrast. So in that example, instead of just saying, I don't want to feel shame, I don't want to feel guilt, I don't want to feel disgust, etc., use that contrast to get more specific on what it is that you do want. So if you don't want to feel resentment or guilt or shame after you've had sex with your partner or your spouse or your lover, what do you want to feel? Maybe it's satisfaction, fulfillment, connection, feeling seen, feeling accepted, feeling loved, feeling taken care of. Over time, you'll become better and better at refining and defining what it is that you really want. Why is this important? Well, simply put, as long as you continue to focus on what you don't want, you're still feeding your energy, your focused energy into that. And therefore, that is what you will continue to create and attract into your life experience. Neurologically speaking, the brain, and especially the unconscious mind, is brilliant at focusing. And remember, where focus goes, energy flows. The tricky part can be not recognizing where your focus is actually going, which is why tip number 2 is to focus on what you want. There are really 2 subjects to every subject. There's the having of it and the absence of it. So if you're focused on the absence of passion in your sex life, if you're focused on the absence of feeling seen, if you're focused on the absence of the sexual aliveness and pleasure in your body when you're with your lover, then you're actually feeding the lack. And this is a completely normal and natural thing to do, to notice what's going wrong instead of what's going right so that we can fix it. But again, the value isn't in focusing on the problem or what's wrong. The value is in noticing the contrast so that you can get more clear on what you do want, and then you focus on creating that. But side note, this does not mean we obsess over fixing anything. In fact, a lot of the magic of the law of attraction happens when we are clear about what we want, we keep redirecting our focus and our energy into creating that, and we are able to surrender the timing and the specifics of the outcome. The surrender is a really key part of this whole process. Now, when I say to focus on what you want, it's not necessarily the logistics of like what position you're doing it in or how you're gonna approach each other. All of this is great, and I'm all for visualizing because then the unconscious mind can get more on board with that experience. What I'm talking about on an even deeper level is to create the emotional experience for yourself. Envision the physical sensations of it and the emotions that that experience creates. Practice the emotions that that experience creates. Or maybe better said, the emotions that you anticipate or believe that that experience would create, particularly if you've never experienced it before. So, for example, if you've discovered about yourself that you really want to express your dominance and your power in the bedroom, play out the scenario in your mind of what you think that would look like. How are you feeling in your body? How are you standing? How are you speaking? What is your way of being? More so than what exactly you are doing. Or let's say that you want to be able to completely melt into your lover's embrace and surrender completely. What would that feel like? As you create the emotional experience in your mind and reinforce that in your unconscious mind, you cultivate that energy in your body, and then it shows up naturally in your way of being. And this is not limited to any singular sexual expression or experience. You can learn to tap into so many different aspects of yourself, so many different expressions of yourself, so many different kinds of pleasure. Although I will say it does take commitment, patience, and a hell of a lot of self-compassion when things don't go the way that you expected them to. And it's especially in those moments of potential self-doubt and disappointment that this next point is absolutely critical. Number 3, your I am. As I mentioned before, your way of being supersedes your doing. From your being, whatever you do and whatever you have will come more fluidly and more naturally and with more ease and flow. Instead of feeling like you have to force something to happen and you have to make yourself do it and psych yourself out and talk yourself into it. Your identity is much more powerful than your doing or your efforting. You see, if you have this fundamental belief, this knowing in your bones that I am desirable, I am sexually alive, I am orgasmic, I am lovable, I am desirous, I am creative, I am magnetic, I am powerful, I am ease, I am flow, I am pleasure. Speak whatever words resonate with you. And what I personally recommend is that you speak these words out loud, declaring it every single day. And also give this a try before your self-pleasure sessions and before sex. And notice how the energy just feels different. If you practice intentionally seeing yourself as a magnet to pleasure, a magnet to beautiful things in your life, a magnet to abundance, a magnet to love, then you will begin creating more and more of those experiences in your life. Now, a quick note before wrapping up today's video. If you are trying to use the law of attraction in effort to avoid something uncomfortable in your life or something that is painful or past traumas, heartbreak, disappointment, disconnection from certain parts of yourself, sooner or later you're gonna wear yourself out and frustrate the shit out of yourself trying to positive focus your way out of it. This is why I'm such a huge advocate for things like shadow work, which is, simply put, discovering and integrating those parts of yourself that you have disowned, rejected, judged, denied, and suppressed. By doing shadow work, by looking at those parts of yourself that have been too uncomfortable to look at, that have been rejected, that you have learned to reject, and learning to love and accept and integrate them into your being, you become more whole, more free. As the saying goes, everywhere you go, there you are. There is no running away from the truth of who you are. And the longer that you remain disconnected from it, trying to sedate and numb yourself with whatever it is that helps you to feel better in that moment, the less and less you'll be able to experience things like love, connection, and pleasure. So anyway, my little plug there about not using the law of attraction to escape shit, but instead to free yourself truly, deeply, unconsciously, and in your body, somatic healing, all this good stuff, so that you can become a vibrational match to so much more amazingness and beauty and pleasure in your life. And if you're at a point where you're ready to dig deeper into the shadow aspects of yourself, into limiting beliefs about your sexuality, your pleasure, your worthiness, then I invite you to check out my signature 30-day program, Pussy Magic. And to go specifically deeper into shadow work and inner child healing, I mean shifting and transforming things at the foundation, then check out my shadow work bundle. Alright, wild ones, that's it for today. 3 ways to use the law of attraction to improve your sex life and your pleasure. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with some friends, and subscribe for more on sexual empowerment and healing for women. In the meantime, here's to your awakening and your pleasure for a pussy-powered life.